Hello, hello. Hope you all are well. Happy full moon in Capricorn. Hope you all are doing well. Oh, there was a lunar eclipse too. How are y'all doing? How are you all doing? Hello, hello, Alicia. Hello, hello. How are you all? I'm happy to see you all here. Malekun Salah, Hoodoo Your Voodoo. How you doing? How are you doing? Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for your patience. I had to get some things done earlier today, and so that's why I'm about a half an hour late, but we are going to be getting into this read. I'm going to give people about 5 minutes to get a, hey, Sharina. I'm going to give people 5 minutes. I'm fine, Kalina. I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. Give people about 5 minutes until 1:06 Pacific Standard Time to get on here and to join us. Addis, how are you? I'm okay, just taking it easy. I am well, Georgia. I am doing pretty well. And so, yeah, I'll start everything at 1:06 p.m. PST. That's what I'll do. I'm having Prosecco with blackberries in them. I hope that you all are drinking your favorite beverage. That's what I hope for you guys. That you are drinking your favorite beverage, enjoying the sunshine. Hopefully it's sunny where you are. But yeah, taking it easy. Looking forward to this reading. Let me get this down here a little bit. But yeah, otherwise doing well. Can't complain. Won't complain. Thank you, Nkechi. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. I need to get a little closer. That's what I need to do. Situate my chair here. Oh, it's sunny and hot. Nice. Nice. That's what we want. Sunny and hot. Hey, Addis. Hello, everyone. So for people who are just joining, you probably see the pinned comment, but we're doing community tarot in honor of this full moon in Capricorn. Hey, Kento. And as you know, it is Mercury in retrograde, Neptune is in retrograde in Pisces, and Mars is domiciled in Aries, and there was a lunar eclipse. So there's a lot going on here, and we're gonna see what this full moon has for us. We're going to get started in about 2 minutes, and I'll have some announcements, and then we will proceed. Hey, Maureen. We will proceed. Appreciate you all joining me. I'm okay. Taking it day by day. I am well. I also want to shout out everybody who listened to the most recent episode of Juju Based, a Little Juju podcast. I was most recently on there, and we did not only a podcast version, but we did a YouTube version. So Juju, if you don't know, has JujuTube, and on JujuTube there is all of the video content that Juju has been putting together. And so if you haven't had a chance to check that out, please go check it out. For everyone who has already checked it out and reposted it, I appreciate it. It was a really fun time as usual. Juju has created these really amazing platforms for Black spirituality, Blackness, period. And so I was very happy and honored to be back on again, talking about what I do. Are my soaps coming out soon? It is my intent. Well, let me start over. It was my intent to do soaps for June. That clearly did not happen. I can't tell you for certain that it will be in July either. I wanted to combine the new soap sale with my new website, but there are some delays on that. And so once I know, I will let you all know. But I do want to do at least 2 soap sales this year. 2 proper soap sales. Okay, y'all, it's 1:06 and I'm going to get started. I have 2 announcements. Well, 2 additional announcements. I already mentioned the most recent podcast episode on a Little Juju podcast. So if you haven't checked that out, you can find it on SoundCloud or on Juju Bay's YouTube. So thank you to everyone who has checked that out and has retweeted, reposted, all of the things. I appreciate it. The second thing that I wanted to mention, and I will go into more detail about this on Tuesday, and I'll probably also do a live specifically on this new offering, is that I am going to be launching a Better Business service. This Better Business service is going to be in connection with the monthly new moon, and it is specifically for entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, and individuals who are looking to really be strategic and build their careers, to support them in that, to support them spiritually and energetically in that. And so I will be releasing the details of that on Tuesday, and then I will also do a IG live about that. And as you know, if you recall me initially talking about it, that Better Business service will feature our favorite person, Satara, her Better Business oil. And so you will have the advantage of that oil in use to leverage the growth of your business, the growth of your career. That's what's happening with that. And so last but not least, some of you have noticed that I have had a service called the Retainer Service listed on my website, and it's been very kind of minimalist. And so this week I'm going to be posting a video on the web page that talks about the Retainer Service, specifically to provide individuals with detailed information about what that service is about, so that they can make a decision as to whether that's the level of engagement with which they'd like to work with me. And so you can look out for those new things on the website this week, specifically Tuesday, where the Better Business service is concerned. And I'm going to aim for this week also to have the Retainer Service video posted on my website, which, as you know, is www.nagaraakadumu.com. So with that said, let's get into this reading. Full moon in Capricorn. I'm going to pull out the card that represents Capricorn, as that is our anchor for the reading. The card that represents Capricorn in the tarot is the Devil, which I sometimes take offense to as a Capricorn, and other times I think it's just perfect. So we're gonna see. Let us see if I can find it quickly. Here we go. The Devil. This is going to be the anchor for our reading. And Maureen is laughing at me because she knows intimately what Capricorn is about. So, the Devil is our anchor, the sign for Capricorn. And the Devil, more going beyond the Judeo-Christian notion of, Satan and Lucifer and all of that. High pardon, the Devil in the tarot, at least, is really reminding you of the ways in which you indulge too much, or you are so self-restrictive that you're at the point of like self-flagellation, which is, a person who literally has like a cow whip and is like beating themselves over each shoulder because they're just so emotionally and emotionally restricted and pleasure adverse. And so when the devil shows up, it asks you to really look at the ways in which you are overindulgent, and then look at the ways in which you are pleasure adverse, and to bring it into balance. And so one way that we can already begin to interpret this full moon is that what is unbalanced as a basic, but then also what is too much and what is not enough. That's what we need to think about. All right, so let's pull these cards, issue, advice, and resolution, and see what is in store for us. Interesting. So again, the Devil is our anchor. This is the representative of Capricorn in the tarot. The first card that came up, the issue card, is the Ace of Rods, or the Ace of Wands. This is the Aquarian tarot deck, which I really love. So we have the Ace of Rods, or the Ace of Wands. Aces I interpret as direct messages from the universe or from the ancestors, whatever sort of higher power that you talk to, ascribe to. And the Ace of Rods is basically a message from the universe saying, you have what you need to manifest. Go forth. You have the energy and the power to do so. Now you must go forth and do it. Go forth and manifest. You in the world with your powers, what are you going to grow? What are you going to put into the world? What are you going to birth? That's manifest. That's big intentional energy. So that's what we're thinking about here. What are we going to manifest? And, putting this into context, we've been in quarantine for 4 months. Some places are going back into quarantine or going into a deeper state of quarantine. And so for those of us who are interested in using this time to be generative, this card is saying you have the blessing of manifestation and the power to do so. Think about what it is that you want to do so. So to answer your question, Evie Jones, no, it's not specific just to Capricorn. I'm speaking to, or reading about rather, the full moon, which is in Capricorn. But no, this is not speaking just to Capricorn. For people who are interested in understanding what this full moon may have for them, I urge you to identify where Capricorn is in your chart and to start to put some meanings together from there. As you know, I'm a big fan of the astrologer Ahime. I urge all of you to join Ahime's Patreon. There's some really great learning happening there, really great information being shared. Ahime is a really great teacher, so I urge you to join that if you are able. If not, check Ahime's Twitter. There's lots of information on the Twitter as well. Now, the advice here is the Hermit. And it's interesting because I did a reading with someone yesterday and that card came up. And so the Hermit is saying, oftentimes when you need to manifest, you need to go private. You need to go silent. You can't tell people what you're doing. You can't have people in your business. There's a lot of work that can only happen when you are in private, in silence. There's some work that can only happen at nighttime, in the dark. And so when you figured out what it is that you want to manifest, then you have to take a break from the public domain. Go into your silence, go into your work mode. Focus in on the task at hand. Focus with your spirits, your ancestors, your spirit guides, whomever it is that you work with, to really and truly do this work. Secrecy and silence is often required, not sometimes, often, to go inward. To go inward, you know? And so, as you are receiving this blessing from the universe of manifestation and the power to do so, think about the realities of what it will take for you to effectively do so. You know, manifestation is much like birthing. And when a child is coming through the birth canal, that happens in darkness for the most part. So think about it like that. Now, finally, this resolves with the Three of Rods or the Three of Wands. The Three of Rods the Three of Wands, as it's also called, is about moving your plans forward. It's really about moving your plans forward. When you have received this blessing of manifestation or manifesting power, when you have taken the time to go inward, to be private, to work in secret, to work in solitude, to really commune with your spirits in a certain way, the result will be your ability to move your plans forward. The things that you've been thinking about and working on and actually manifesting, because you've been following the advice of the Hermit, are starting to come to fruition. They're starting to multiply. They're moving forward. They're being moved forward. And you're starting to see the results of your work. And this is interesting because when you think about Capricorn is often the zodiac sign where you have individuals are very concerned with sort of future. So they're planting the seeds for now so that their future will be set up in a certain way. They're always forward moving. They're always going up the mountain. They're always looking for the most efficient way to go up to the mountain. And so the Three of Wands is an apt resolution within the context of this full moon in Capricorn, because it allows you to move your plans forward, to see progress. So, to recap, the anchor for this reading has been Capricorn, the devil, looking at the ways in which we are either doing the most in certain areas of our life or not doing enough in other areas of our life. The Ace of Rods, which is the issue card, is a blessing from the universe with the power to manifest. A blessing of manifestation, a blessing of those abilities to manifest. The Hermit is advising us to go into solitude, into secret, and go deeper inside. Part of that's because you really need to figure out and be clear on the areas in which you are doing the most or not doing enough, but also so that the things that you are wanting to manifest have the space to manifest without interruption. Not everything needs to be public. The journey up the mountain is often a solo one. Not always, but often is a solo one. And then the result is the Three of Rods, you being able to move your plans forward, to move yourself forward, to grow. Things are more balanced. Existence is more harmonious. You can move things forward. Action. That's where we are. Action. So, I am going to answer questions as it relates to this reading, topics and ideas related to this reading. As you know, I don't do random questions. And so if you have any questions, I urge you to put them in the question box, and I will be happy to respond to them. And it's easiest if you can put them in the question box. And so the question box is literally a square with a question mark in it next to the comment box. So if you could click on that, tap on that, and put your question there, that is ideal. Chandra, if you could put your question there, that would be ideal, so I can see it and I can go in order. No problem. Thank you, Afua. You're welcome. So questions, feel free to, I did say stay on topic. Because, you know, sometimes y'all get real off topic. No off topic. And yes, I'm happy to pull a card. I'm happy to give just you my my opinion, pull a card, all the things. And I hope somebody remembers this reading so I can put it in the comments when this becomes an IGTV video. Let's hope I can remember. Feel free to ask questions, guys. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you're thinking. Y'all don't have no questions? None? Okay, here's one. Let's see. What do you do? Hold on, let me click that. What do you do if you're scared of what you're trying to manifest, even though you know you're supposed to be doing it? So, you know, that's a really good question. I don't need to pull a card to address that. But the first thing before you can manifest anything is you really, really, really need to address the fear. You really, really need to address the fear, because you can't move from a place of fear in anything, especially not spiritual work, especially not healing work. It's an excellent question. And so the first thing that's going to happen is that you're going to have to really address the fear and look at where does it come from, when did it start, and what are the coping mechanisms that you have developed to deal with this fear. Because you will need to undo that and do work around that before you can properly manifest at will. Okay, let's see. Okay. Oof. When will my books open back up? So, you know, I'm going to be very honest with you all. I enjoy divining for you, but it's extremely, extremely exhausting. And as a functioning priestess, Hydrea, as a functioning priestess who has clients to care for, but also who needs to care for herself, I need to strike a better balance than I have been for the past almost 12 months. You all have helped me to grow my business immensely, but doing one-off readings all the time is not sustainable. And so my books are closed right now because I'm booked out through the end of the year. And then I would say probably around October or November, I'll be making my final decision as to whether I will do additional divinations in 2021. I have no clue about that right now. I'm not even considering it because I need to get through the clients that I have. But if I do, you all will be the first to know. it will be announced here on the Instagram. But thank you for inquiring. I appreciate it. Okay. How do we know what it is that we are meant to manifest, and how do you build your courage to move forward? And so, um, I've always been able to figure that out by communing with my ancestors. Now, if you don't have an ancestral practice, if you don't have an altar, if you don't do any of those things, a good first step might be to get a divination so that you can figure that out. And so you can explicitly ask that question. If you already have an ancestral practice and you have an altar and you know how to divine and receive messages from your ancestors, I would urge you to put that question to your ancestors and ask them. And building the courage to move forward, well, one thing where that's concerned is that at a certain point you get sick of not moving forward. And so when you're sick of not moving forward is when you'll do it. Okay. So, staying in the hermit phase is not meant to be permanent. It's meant to be for the purpose of cultivating these things that you're trying to manifest. And so, it's hard, as you point out, it is extremely hard to stay in the hermit phase while you are actively trying to build a business. What I'm suggesting is not to stay in the hermit phase permanently. It's to go into hermit phase when you need to do specific kinds of work. That is where I'm suggesting to be in the hermit phase. Okie dokie, where are we? Okay, in Boogie, do you mean specific ancestors? Is that what you're referring to? If that is what you're referring to, then that is an investigation that you need to do for yourself if you know how to divine. If it is not what you're referring to, then a little bit of clarity would be helpful for me in terms of trying to figure out what exactly you're saying. If you're talking about specific dead people, then that is investigation that you can do with your ancestors via divination, or you can get a divination from a practitioner who can help you through that. What do you mean humans? As a general rule, unless the humans you're referring to are mentors of one kind or another, generally you're the primary manifester on the manifestation team. Everyone else is more sort of like an advisor. Generally, you are the one. Again, I would go to my ancestors for that. If you know how to divine with your ancestors, I would go to them for that, to get that information. Or if you don't know, if you feel you don't already have that level of support, you tell them, okay, put people in my path who can help me, who will be supportive, who can help me on this journey, who can give me advice about things I don't already know. But again, if you don't have the skill set to divine, that's fine. But then find a diviner that you can trust and go that route. Okie dokie, where are we? Advice on moving through inner healing work while manifesting, achieving goals in our external world. So, inner healing work is not necessarily apart or separate from manifestation. You manifest healing just like you manifest money, you manifest a partner, you manifest all of these things. I think the use of the word manifest, and I know I use it a lot, is we're getting to a point where it's starting to become played out. But the reality is that healing, manifesting healing, the act of healing, while the process may be different for healing than for, let's say, manifesting money or opportunity, fundamentally it is a form of manifestation. I don't necessarily think that that healing is diametrically opposed to you achieving goals. It depends, though, on what the healing is. If the healing is physical healing that keeps you from being out in the world in a certain way, then I would say yes. While you are focused on your physical healing, which may have an impact on your ability to be mobile, then yes, that means you're going to have to take a pause on any sort of active manifestation that requires you to be out in the world in a certain way. However, if the kind of healing that you're doing is self-love, or the kind of healing that you're doing is healing your lineage's relationship with abundance, then that, for me at least, is compatible with you seeking abundance in the world, for example. I hope that makes sense. You really have to sort of feel it out. These are embodied practices, If it ultimately, while there are certain things that can be done at the same time, ultimately, if it doesn't feel right, then no, you need to do things one at a time. But if you feel capable, then I would urge you to continue to do it, particularly if the healing that you're doing is in the same category as the manifesting that you're doing. As we are manifesting, what should we do also to protect ourselves from energies that might do us harm? So you should always be doing protective works. You should always be doing protection works. You should have consistent protection going on. You should consistently be cleaning off. You should be consistently in conversation with your ancestors about your protection. You should be consistently doing works for your protection. You should have actual talismans on you that function as a protection of some kind. And so it's not just when you are manifesting that you should be protecting yourself from these energies. As a spiritualist, even if your practice is just a personal practice, your protections should be active and working. Not just when you're doing manifestation work. If your protections are not active and you're trying to do manifestation work, you will probably find that you need to get your protections active and do work around your protection before you can successfully execute the manifestation work. Let us see. You all are on a roll today. Ooh. Hold on. Okay, Evie, I can't see your full question. And so if you could rephrase it and send it to me, that would be great, because it cuts off because it's quite long. Is the manifestation power of this full moon based in more of a material or spiritual realm? As I'm experiencing it, I would say both. Moons tend to be very much in the spiritual realm. It connected with big water energy. However, water is a material. You can access it, you can touch it, you can feel it. And so for me, I would say both. As I understand it, I would say both. The spiritual acts on the physical and the physical acts in the spiritual. So both. Okay. Have I ever done ayahuasca? I have not done ayahuasca, Drea. I'm interested in doing ayahuasca or something like that. What I really want to do is iboga. And iboga is a Central West African medicinal plant that is used for plant journeys and spiritual purposes. And that's really what I would like to do. It's indigenous to Gabon, to the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and the Republic of the Congo. And it's those, I really want to do Iboga. I don't know of any place here in the States that offers it, but there is a center in Portugal that offers it, both for recovery from addiction and other conditions, but also for spiritual and personal development. I'm going to put it in the comment how you spell it. Iboga, aka Ibogaine, which is the scientific name. Okay, when manifesting, how do I engage specifying the time I need things by when? Okay, so when manifesting, that's part of the conversation that you have with your ancestors, is thinking about timing, thinking about how long the work is going to take if you need to do it repeatedly. You know, when you're thinking about abundance works, in my estimation, should never be one-offs. That you should be manifesting an ongoing energy of abundance at all times, in my opinion. And so the timing is one that you set with your ancestors. Personally, if you are going to be doing abundance works, I would do those in the waxing period. And so that's from the day after the new moon up unto and including the full moon. So this period that just passed would have been ideal for abundance works, anything that you want to see come into fruition. We are going to be entering, as of tomorrow, the waning period. So the period from the new moon to the the period from the full moon to the new moon. And in that waning period is ideal for doing works around removing negativity, stagnancy, all that kind of thing. But that, though, it's based on conversation. You have to be in conversation with your ancestors and your spirits for that. Okay, I recently had a waking vision of literally seeing signs, symbols flashing before my eyes. How do I dig deeper to decipher it? So it depends on what the sign is. There are some decent resources online where deciphering dreams and numbers and all of that. If you're seeing numbers, a good place to start would be numerology. If you're seeing animals, there is quite some information online about animals that are spirit totems. When you're talking about African rooted traditions, you're talking about spiders, leopards, turtles and tortoises, certain kinds of fishes, mermaids. And so whatever the symbol is, I would encourage you to start there and then to dig deeper by doing research around what those mean in amongst different traditions. Even for those of us who have primarily African ancestry, you know, some of us also have other kinds of ancestry. Particularly the further back you go, you may find other kinds of ancestry, and it could be that these animals or other kinds of symbols that you're seeing pertain to some of that other ancestry as well. But I would urge you to take notes on what the signs and symbols are that you're seeing, and then just start with some basic research. That's what I would suggest. Snakes also are a big deal. Roaches, don't really know about that. But spiders and snakes are definitely feature prominently in visions and dreams and that kind of thing, particularly within African rooted traditions. So when you're talking about this topic, do you mean tarot? Do you mean spiritualism? What do you mean specifically, Evie? Are you talking about manifestation? If you're referring to manifestation, I don't know of any books that talk about manifestation. It's not that there aren't any art out there, but I didn't learn manifestation from a book. I learned from practice, and I learned by being in conversation with my ancestors and asking for tips from my godmother, who has been obviously very important on this journey, as well as other individuals who are as, if not more, more experienced in this than I. I would say if you're interested in certain forms of African and African rooted spirituality, there's no shortage of sources. 2 books off the top that are really good. I'm going to forget the authors, but Work in the Root is a really good one, and that talks about African American conjure. And then there's also Mojo Working. Both of those are on Amazon, and both of those are really good. That give you historical information, but also practical information about conjure, hoodoo and conjure. For some of the Afro-Cuban spiritual traditions, the books are interesting because, at least where Palo is concerned, they either give information that is largely incorrect, or information that is only specific to the lineage that the person who wrote the book investigated. And so you have to sort of be kind of discriminating with that. However, where other African and African rooted traditions are concerned outside of conjure, Robert Farris Thompson's Flash of the Spirit is a sort of a seminal text. Also there is Baba Fukiao. The last name is spelled Fu-Kiau. I'm forgetting the names of his books. Please excuse my memory. But if you go on Amazon, there's one book, and I think the title is something like the Cosmology of the Bantu Congo. And that is a book that's worth reading, that documents the belief systems of Bantu Congo people, and those beliefs contributed heavily to Palo Mayombe, what's known as Palo Mayombe contemporarily. What as so there are numerous spiritual traditions in Central and Central West Africa that are still practiced. I believe that there is a Bantu Congo spiritual tradition that is still practiced in DRC, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, as well as the Republic of Congo. I cannot say with any certainty that it is organized or cohesive in a way that would be familiar to Americans or familiar to individuals in the Americas, I should say. But yes, those traditions are still practiced. I know for a fact that you still have spiritual practitioners doing their indigenous practices amongst Bantu peoples in Angola. That's definitely the case in Zimbabwe, definitely the case in South Africa. And I see no reason why that would not be the case in the DRC and in the Republic of Congo. I don't know the exact name. I feel like at one point it was told to me that it was called Bunda dia Congo, but I'm not sure. So don't quote me on that. Yes, African Cosmology of the Bantu Congo. Yes, that is correct. Let us see what else is here. Does keeping manifestations private mean solely between you and your person, or can spouses be involved? I leave that up to you. If you, and hopefully that would be the case between you and your spouse, as long as there's trust and respect for the sanctity of what you all have together, and also extending that to the spiritual practice, then yes, I would say so. But sometimes you just want to put a thing into the world and you don't want anybody's extra energy on it, and so you just do it, you don't say anything, and you wait for it to manifest. Ooh, you all are notorious for not staying on topic, but it's okay. I'm going to be... Can your ancestor altar be a working altar? It should, in fact, be be a working altar. Your ancestor altar absolutely should be a working altar. Thank you, Delonda. Yes, it absolutely should be a working altar. Engaging with your ancestors is a form of work. It should always be mutually reciprocal. I'm sorry, it should always be reciprocal and mutually beneficial, is what I'm trying to say. But absolutely, it needs to be a working altar. It should not be a one-way, a one-stop shop. Almost anything can be a protection talisman. I tend to like jewelry personally, and so I will consecrate waist beads, bracelets, necklaces, occasionally earrings and rings. Ideally, it should be a natural material, so wood, bone, shell, coral, metal, copper. Any naturally occurring metal such as copper, silver, gold, brass. I tend to use jewelry that I already have. Otherwise, I try to look for things that, pertain to the aesthetic that I like in vintage shops. Etsy occasionally will have some nice things. I don't sell. This is an excellent question, Georgia. I don't believe that we're really the first. That is rare, a truly rare occurrence for me. I think we are often the ones who are the first in several generations, but certainly not the absolute first. Not at all. Yes, we are the ones returning to those traditions. Yes. So I think you mean consecrate. That's not information that I give out publicly. You need to be involved in an ancestor practice, and certainly if you have a mentor, that's a question that you would ask them, or if you get a divination, that is a question that you could ask the diviner, but that's not information that I give out publicly. Okay, so I mentioned jewelry. Another talisman that is common that you see in conjure are mojo bags or gree, as well as highjon. And those are things that if you know how to make them and consecrate yourself, you can make and consecrate yourself, or you can seek out a reputable practitioner who can do that for you. Let's see. I haven't really been to a bookstore in a while because obviously the quarantine. I don't know of any occult bookstores here in Seattle, I generally order online from places that I know have what it is that I want. My recommendations are the same regardless of the sign. Certain people, based on personality and, other things that are going on, may find it very difficult to be in the hermit phase. But my thing is, if you're manifesting and you want your manifestation to be successful, you need to consider dedicating the time necessary to being in that hermit phase. It may not be weeks, it may only be a few days, but it's often what's necessary to get the job done. And if you're committed to getting the job done, you'll do it. Well, I think part of that is, boundaries, not feeling like you have to socialize when you don't really want to. And if you don't really want to, being firm in your boundaries, saying no, and just saying, listen, I'm not in the mood for it. I appreciate you thinking about me, but no, that's not what I want to do right now, or that's not what I feel up to doing right now. You need to exercise your boundaries. Your people who are your friends and who respect you and understand and love you will understand that. And even if they don't, then they should be, you know, when you all have a conversation about it, you can just say, listen, I'm not able, that's not where I'm at right now. you know and if they're your friends and your loved ones, they should make space for that. If they don't, then that gives you some insight into sort of where that person may be or how that person views you. But you shouldn't be socializing just because you feel like you have to do it. You should be socializing because you want to do it and because it's something that you are really present for. Now, I would say in terms of being mindful, where that really hits home for me is, when you absolutely do want to socialize, to make sure that it doesn't become an overwhelming experience by making sure you have your protections on you, by not being out longer than you want to or need to, by not engaging in reckless practices when you are out socializing. And again, I'm not passing judgment. We all like a little reckless behavior every so often. I know I do. I do mine in private though. But yeah, boundaries is a first step. Also, reinforcing your protections, having your conversations with your ancestors and letting them know that, this is where I'm at. I need some support in this. Those conversations go a long way. Okay, I think I have answered. Oh, here we go. Do you have any recommendations for getting involved in an ancestor practice? The first recommendation I would have might be for you to get a divination with someone. Do some research around, respected practitioners in your area or respected practitioners period that are doing divinations virtually, and have some conversations with them, get a divination, see what comes out of it, and then ask them if they will be willing to coach you, and be prepared to pay them for their labor and really put the advice that they give into practice. I offer a spiritual hygiene one-on-one mentorship program that assists people in establishing a spiritual practice and focusing around spiritual hygiene. I have varying levels of students in that program. And so that might be something that you're interested in. You can find that by going to the easiest way is to go to my Learn More page. So nagaraakadumu.com/learn-more. And if you scroll down, you'll see something that says Spiritual Hygiene 1-on-1, and you can learn about that program there. Okay. Unless you guys have any more questions, I think that I am about done. Thank you guys so much for participating. Oh, Maureen is reminding me. I also, for the answer to that last question, I do have an ebook available on my website called Spiritual Hygiene. That's what it's called, and that's what it's about. And that will be, I think, helpful as well. Satara also has an ebook that she published fall last year, and the two together would be good companion pieces. And so I urge you to check hers out as well. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you all have a restful weekend, a restful rest of your Sunday. Prepare for your week. Soak in this good lunar eclipse energy. Get your abundance going. And yeah, we'll talk soon, guys. All right, y'all. Take care.